Welcome once again to Culture Cove on Hued Network. As always, we are here to preserve the culture and have fun while doing so. As always, I am Amadin Ogbewe. The name doesn't change. Perhaps one day I'll add a nickname or two or a title. I'm working towards it. So I'm on my way. Okay, my beat is not here today, but something is here or something is coming. Just watch out. As always, I'm not alone. I'm not here to do this by myself. I have a number of persons in the house here to join us and culturally analyze. So let's start with, to my far right, Paul Oladipupo, also known as
Obagogo, the king of them all. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul. Yes, the king of them all.
Okay. It remains to be proven. We'll put it on that theory.
Hey, see, I won't want to. I won't want to go into details here, but probably once the camera off, so that I don't expose myself too much. So yes, once the camera goes off,
king should
we'll discuss that. Nah, you see, there are some things I just have to protect. Okay.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. The jury's still out on that. Going to my far left now, or my close left, but Paul's far right. We have the one and only Joan Eze. Joan, how you doing?
Well, I'm great. I'm just wondering why Paul is just busy carrying something that is not a zone. Why are you dragging? I don't know.
We'll give him an opportunity to answer. But before that, let us actually introduce our special guest, who, if anyone is going to have a title here, she's the one talking about the very special, the very elegant, insightful, knowledgeable, beautiful, so many things. That is Aisha Aliyu-Bima. Aisha, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Welcome,
Thanks so much for coming.
Oh no, I'm happy to be here
Thanks
again.
so much.
It's good to see you guys.
And you too. I should add that Aisha is the director of arts at the African School of Economics, and she has her hands when it comes to culture and arts in Abuja. And you don't know Aisha. What do you know?
It means you're not in the industry, actually.
Yeah, I mean. So, thanks so much for being on the program today.
A pleasure, as always.
So, as usual, we have a number of segments. We're going to start with what Hued Network was up and about in recent times, and then we'll move to the arts, entertainment, and all of that. And then finally, we spotlight a specific cultural practice, or how cultures interact with a certain aspect of life. So, let's start off with what we were up and about recently. We actually witnessed and got to be a part of an artist, a young artist, talking about Kanyeyachukwu KK's journey to breaking or officially being recognized for breaking the Guinness World Record for largest art canvas. It happened right here in Abuja, and it also exemplified an issue of, or drew attention to how we should understand and treat people on the autistic spectrum. So take a look at that report now. When we return, we'll talk about it. Don't go anywhere. A remarkable achievement was celebrated at Eagle Square in Abuja recently as 15-year-old autistic Nigerian artist Kanyeyachukwu was officially recognized as the Guinness World Record holder for the largest painting on canvas by an individual. The unveiling of the massive 12,303 square meter canvas coincided with World Autism Awareness Day, drawing attendance from government officials, diplomats, art enthusiasts, and advocates for autism inclusion. The Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism, and the Creative Economy, Hannatu Musa Musawa, expressed her pride in the young artist's accomplishment, describing it as both a personal and national achievement. On our part, UNICEF Nigeria representative Christine Mundate pledged support for nurturing similar talents across the country.
When I looked at Kanye and saw what he was able to overcome, I just knew that there is no excuse for failure. In whatever period of time that you have to add value to this country through this mandate. If Kanye can do it, you can do it.
We should, for example, as here the media, demand for a better inclusive education around the country, better infrastructure that can allow children with disabilities to attend to school, but also creating awareness among communities to be more inclusive for children.
DK Chukwumerije, renowned Nigerian author and spoken word artist who attended the event, shared his thoughts on the significance of Kanye's achievements. He stated that every art has value.
And to every other artist is to let them know that your art has value. If you came into this world with a gift or a talent, there's a reason why God put it in you. And there are things that only you using that art can achieve. So don't ever let anybody tell you that your talent, your art is valueless. There are some that the marketplace places a lot of value on, and there are some that the marketplace ignores now. But every art has value, has the value to make society a better place. So be diligent in the practice of your art, and it will make way for you.
Fola David, a Guinness World Record holder, shared insights on the dedication required to achieve such a remarkable feat.
For me, it took about 6 days to break mine. Kanye has worked on this amazing, gigantic piece for about 3 months. And, to find out someone can take that kind of time to dedicate and commit themselves to a cause, to a creation, it's very inspiring. It makes me want to do more because, learning that he's living with autism is just so many bounds are being broken, and, it's going to transcend generations.
The emotional highlight of the ceremony came when Kanye's mother, Sylvia Tagbo Okeke, spoke about the journey that led to this historic moment.
If you look at the painting, you see the infinity sign. That's autism, neurodiversity. So he's autistic, so that sign means awareness, acceptance, and then neurodiversity. And then if you see around, you see the faces, you see the sad faces, the smiley, the crying, and all that. And when Kanye was growing up, if you look at all his previous some of his previous paintings, if you go back in history, you see all those smiley faces, and that's what he has represented here. How much? Oh, you don't want to know. It was excruciating. But for us, for my husband and I, we gave everything we had. Because for us, it's to encourage Kanye, it's to encourage his talent. We are ready to sell everything we have to ensure that Kanye realizes his dream. It was hard, excruciatingly hard. It took everything from us. But today, it was worth it. Today was worth it.
Kanye's father, Tagbo Okeke, emphasized that the record-breaking painting titled "Impossible is a Myth" serves a dual purpose, which is celebrating artistic excellence while raising awareness about autism.
We will not take away the main fact from this occasion. And we are here to celebrate World Autism Day. And so what we are doing here is actually for the children that are living with autism all over Nigeria, all over Africa, all over the world. It was significant for us, and we did it on purpose, that this painting will be revealed on World Autism Day for the world to see what these children can do. They are specially gifted, and what they need is tolerance, inclusion, and tolerance from everyone.
The event also featured professional guidance from Damilola Alawode of the Ziba Foundation, who works with children with special needs.
So I believe that Kanye's heart will help parents to look inward, right? Look at their children and see what they are really able to do, and then magnify that instead of looking at what they are unable to do.
Kanyeyachukwu's record-breaking achievement surpassed the previous record of 9,652 square meters set by an artist in Qatar. Born in November 2009, Kanye has already established himself internationally, with his artwork featured in galleries across Nigeria, Europe, and other parts of Africa. The historic accomplishment not only showcases extraordinary artistic talent, but also stands as a powerful statement about ability, inclusion and the unlimited potentials of individuals with autism. As we celebrate this record-breaking feat, let it serve as a call to embrace inclusion, recognize hidden potentials, and invest in the unique abilities of all individuals, especially those living with autism. Kanye's story is a powerful reminder that when we create space for everyone to thrive, we not only break records, we break barriers. Impossible
Is a myth.
I think before we get into the deep of it, one thing that stood out for me while we were interviewing Kanye's mom, and you saw her what she said there. When we asked what did it all take, and she says, "How much? You don't want to know." And when she said that, I felt it deeply because again, trying to do anything, organizing and trying to combine these things is a lot. Talk less of, it was a mega event really. It had all sorts of persons were all there and we witnessed a lot. So Aisha, from your perspective, you're a curator, or you've been a curator, you're in the art scene and all of that. What do you think this takes and what do you take away from here?
I mean, it's a very precious thing what Kanye's parents have done, supporting him over the years. It's not something that just started with this painting. He's done numerous exhibitions, they've always supported his talents. They've built him a network of mentors. And I think what I find very special is how embracing of him and his talents that the art community in Abuja, because that's the one I can speak for, have really been from the beginning. And I think that's one thing I really love and appreciate about working in the arts, that for the most part, there's this willingness to accommodate people that are differently abled. And I wish it's something that we can broadcast even more to the rest of society, especially in the education system, because, we still do not have enough accommodations for people that are differently abled. Even for the visible ones, we do not even have enough accommodations. Talk less of the invisible ones, because that's on a whole nother level. How many accommodations do you have for students that are dyslexic, for students that are lower on the autism spectrum?
Do we even recognize dyslexia here? People just say, go and read your book. You don't know anything.
Yeah, officially there's some recognition for it, but is it implemented? Recently there have been a lot of conversations about JAM, and I'm like, what provisions have you actually made to accommodate the students really? It's always we want to jump to, they cannot do this, rather than how do we make it easier for them to do this? How do we facilitate it? And I think that's just the precious thing about this story, that his parents saw his talents and they're like, what can we do to make it happen? They didn't look at the difficulty of his situation. They're like, what can we do to make sure his talent goes out into the world? And I think that's a lesson that all of us should take and that we should reiterate and really share Kanye's story more and more, because it gives parents that have, again, children that are differently abled a lot of hope. It introduces them to the foundation. That's something that I know I've directly witnessed from someone seeing Kanye's exhibition a few years ago and knowing like, there are these resources for me to, help my child and all. Yes.
So what do you think about art though?
Oh no, it's a gorgeous painting, really. I personally really, really love the painting. Of course, a tremendous amount of work. I know a lot of people that mentored him, that encouraged him through the process. As they said, it was a 3-month-long process, and you can imagine it's, not easy. But, some of the special talents are his ability to focus and do a work of that skill. But, it's a very beautiful painting. It's a very positive painting. I think that's always what that painting projects to.
Indeed. So, Joan, we were right there ourselves. What did you think?
I felt very emotional, especially when they started playing the song Champion.
How's that song go again?
You are the whole champion. Something like that. And in fact, when they sprayed the whole thing,
the confetti.
I was trying to look at him. Is there any reaction? Is there something? But he was just calm. And I felt like going around shouting, I think I know Kanye, and I think, I was so excited for him. And I feel we have a lot of Kanyes out there.
Yeah, this is number one Kanye.
Yeah, he's the number one Kanye.
Oh, okay. I know what you mean.
Yeah, we have a lot of
I thought you meant the name, but in that respect,
yeah,
the other one right now.
Yeah,
he's just here.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of children living, or even adults living with autism.
Yeah, true.
And most of them are not recognized, and they are really doing a lot of wonderful things, especially in the marginalized areas. So when we have parents like Kanye, you know, to bring out the best in their kids, not silencing them, is something that we actually look out for. We look forward to. Imagine a child of that particular age gaining a Guinness World Record. You know, his name is already placed somewhere, written in a golden form, and it's something that generations to come will definitely see. So I don't know. I'm so excited. And as for the painting, when I stepped on that painting, because we had to do some things, and when I walked on it and all that, I looked at it and I was like, I wish I can really have my own copy of it. Let me just go and place it on the wall
somewhere. How do you feel as a curator knowing that someone stepped on a pencil?
I mean, different paintings have different purposes, to be honest. It's really the artist's discretion. Sometimes some paintings are very interactive, and perhaps that's what they intended.
Okay, so
but
I
as she said,
I did too.
Okay. As she said, I look forward to them making prints of the painting, just, something that people can have as like memorabilia from.
Yeah.
You know what? Sorry, Paul. I just thought about it. What if someone bought it?
I think,
and I mean, like when I say someone, I mean an entity. Like the Nigerian government has bought it and made it a monument or something.
Yeah, I think that's something in the works actually. So maybe you should keep an eye out.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink. Yeah, I mean, impossibility is actually meat in the real sense of things. I think that's the story of Kanye. It tells us that regardless of whatever you're going through, there's still something that's embedded in you that the world is yet to see. And loosely borrowing from the words of his brother, it was like Kanye's disability is the ability he has, is the price he had to pay for disability. Meaning that whatever is going through for him is really not it, but rather it's more like a price that he has to pay for this. Because painting in the real sense already is hard, but now having to paint it while going through several emotions. I mean, the length of that it took him to paint it, 3 months, a long time. I imagine the kind of emotions that he must have run through his mind. In fact, there's sometimes that you'd probably start something and then you look at the point and you're like, nah, I'm not doing that again. I'm very sure he had that as well in his mind, but the fact that he kept going. And for me now, talking about the painting, if you actually look at the painting, it's not just about being under the spectrum here. There are also emotions that we all face as well. I mean, we all are happy on some days, we are sad on some days, we are crying on some days, and
angry
literally angry as well. And all of these
some of us are always happy, sure.
And if you're always happy, that's very sus, but I won't go into details now.
If you're allegedly
okay, so like and everything just goes on in a infinity loop. It doesn't stop, literally. You can't predict what emotion you're going to face next, and that's what the painting actually speaks on. It talks about how the emotions that those under the spectrum have to go through all the time, and for them there's no, I mean, for us now, I mean, you could just bring for some people we could bring food to them now and then they're already happy. For them, I mean, John was saying that everything was going on, and then for Kanye it was just a flat expression, literally, and nothing like there was no overjoy or something like she wanted it to be, but it just shows how for them they can't predict what's the next emotion that is coming. Whatever event is coming doesn't predict the reaction that is coming towards it. So it's very interesting to see, and I love paintings, and these are now.
Were you inspired?
Was that obviously it's more like
I'm going somewhere. Were you inspired?
Yeah, I was inspired.
So what were you inspired to do?
I mean, like, I have things that I probably said that, no, I'm not trying this again, but it's just like, looking at this now is like, you just go for it, really. There's nothing stopping you.
If Kanye can do it.
Like, that's the word of the Minister of Arts and Creative Economy.
I think I'm going to write more.
Exactly.
I write already, but I haven't written in quite a while, so I want to do more of that.
I used to write, actually. I used to.
This is a very sad word.
Yeah, I think we should start coming back to what
we're going to hold you to that, Amadin.
Okay. Hopefully, the next Culture Cove episode, I will be telling you that the story I wanted to write, I've written it. I have accountability partners here. If I'm lying, they will call me out. I'll send you the stories.
Okay, no problem. I'll be expecting.
So what are we expecting from you? A new design?
Yes, more designs, more creativity.
You're writing a song, right?
A song.
I mean, you will keep ruling us and be telling us that you are the king of what I don't know.
I think for my own, I think it's more like looking into education and things like that.
So you build a school.
No, I think he wants to change
give us something actionable.
Something actionable. Look at it for a policy on education from me.
Change the
We are
curriculum.
not governments now.
I don't have to be government.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Aisha, should we expect something from you?
Yeah, I mean, more work in the same direction. I think that's really the thing, to actually implement those changes in the system that you want to see. As the minister said, when you see what Kanye has done, you have no choice but to succeed. So.
Kanye has inspired us all. So we'll be here to submit our assignments next episode. Thank you so much. That's our round of this segment. We'll go on a break now. When we return, we'll delve into the next segment of Culture Cove.
Keep watching. Please keep watching Culture Cove on Hued Network.
Welcome back. It's still Culture Cove right here on Hued Network, and we have been talking about a number of things about Kanyechukwu's record-breaking event. But right now we're going into the next segment where we talk about arts, fashion, film, music, entertainment. So, Paul, what do you have for us today?
You see, looking at it now, I think I really need to rethink my choices. Probably I should write a song, and I'll tell you why. Maybe at the next Coachella, it will be my song that Rema will be singing, or maybe Burna Boy will be singing there. You never could tell,
Amen already.
Let me just encourage you. Because I'm trying to see Rema. He left Monday morning, waking up and singing Paul's song. But anyway,
you've not even
dreaming. So impossible is in me.
Exactly.
We'll reach out to Rema and Co.
No, don't worry. I have my plug already.
Okay. No.
So yes, I imagine that we're talking about Coachella. Wonderful music festival that I obviously want to go one day, because I mean, imagine leaving your house one weekend and going to a desert kind of scenery, and then you are there for 2 weekends, because this year's one was 2 weekends, and it was lovely, filled with so much energy as always, and it's non-stop music for the whole weekend from Friday or Thursday down to Sunday, and it's going to be like that for 2 weekends, and we have artists from all over the world. I mean, this year we had Lady Gaga, we had Tyler from South Africa, we also had Rema as well, we also had
from Nigeria,
Rema from Nigeria,
Rema from Benin.
Don't go that deep.
Benin boys,
Benin boys, really. And this is Lady Gaga here performing, so she's one of the headliners of this year's Coachella. I think you see the Ferris wheel there, and also that iconic building that was also placed there at this year's Coachella. I think Coachella is one that everyone looks out for because it's always massive. It's a lot. I mean, when they started, I saw some pages where these guys left their house. Literally, they had tents already built already there, and then they moved more like it's moving from your house, because they moved things from their house. They had clothes to change. I think there were a lot of content I saw here and there from Coachella this year. Some people made special outfits for Coachella. It was just so much of very much interesting things. And I think for me, the highlights for me is seeing 2 Nigerians on this particular stage. We had Remy Boy, coming down to Coachella and then was performing. So it's Rema's performances are always very energetic. I mean, Burna Boy's for Burna Boy, I think his one is more musical, but you see, Rema is more of the energy. Everybody say yellow, and then everybody is vibing to it and everything. And then we had the legendary, the son of the legendary Fela Kuti, Seun Kuti, and also the Egypt's 80 band, giving us back to back. And it was one energetic performance as well from Seun Kuti. Seun Kuti is known for so much energy as well. I think everybody in Nigeria is energetic at the end of the day.
True.
Because there's Probably Whiskey, we need to check his blood because Whiskey is always on the low kind of guy.
No, but his performances are also very...
The thing is that if you as an artist, if you don't have energy, your fans will help you to give you the energy. Do you understand?
Fair point. But we had all of these guys going there to represent Nigeria and also Africa. Not to forget Tyler as well. Tyler was also there pouring some water down on them there at California.
Yeah, I think one thing though, Rema's performance wasn't
all that
as usual.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of issues apparently with sound. He did a sound check.
Yes.
And things were good to go. But when it was time for the performance, there was some disconnects with what he was hearing. And he didn't quite. And at some point he says, even if you don't know the lyrics to the song, just dance and move your body. But I think it's a great, obviously Coachella is legendary. And it always makes me remind an event. I don't know if I'm remembering correctly, but the whole concept of African giants, if I recall, was that a Coachella event?
Yes. Yeah, of Burna Boy when they brought his name, and then Burna Boy's name was just
in a little
you had to use like a magnifying glass to go and look for it. And then Burna Boy was like, nah, I'm not coming. Like he has to redo
I am
the design.
an African giant.
Exactly.
I cannot use small prints for me, small font.
And then they redesigned it actually, and then they kept his own name in big fonts. Although he was not an headlining artist. Exactly.
And at the end of the day, you just have to know your worth, I think.
Yeah, it's very important as well.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Do you guys see yourself attending?
Yeah, definitely. Coachella for me is like, it's been a dream event to attend for a very long time. But also like growing older and seeing like how it's this massive logistical operation and sort of dreaming of how can we have something like that and replicate something like that. Like for me, it would be a dream to maybe be in Bauchi or maybe be in Ebonyi and just
for
2 weekends and everybody from different parts of the country is there just to enjoy music and everything that there is to offer, and people coming in from all around the world. And I think I also really like how like with every year you see more and more representation from all around the world. This year, interestingly, they had Hanuman Kind from India who had one of the biggest shows, interestingly, in Coachella this year. There were a lot of brave performance reviews of his performance. They also had Mohammed Ramadan from Egypt, who you traditionally wouldn't expect on that stage, but it's a very accommodating stage. It's a very accommodating audience. It opens people up to new experiences and it opens your audience up to new sounds as well. I know how many musicians I've discovered just from Coachella through the years. So I think it's special. And again, now when I see these things, it's more like, how can we replicate that? How can we bring this? Like, as much as I want to attend that, it's a legendary thing, but how can we make something of our own that brings us together on this level?
Indeed. And you're going to say something?
Well, I just wanted to add to what she's saying that we'll try to book our flights very soon so that we can attend the next Coachella. Whenever I see Nigerians thriving in the global space, it gives me, in fact, I know the artists will be proud, but me, I'll be more proud because I'm not the one there, but there's this appeal that we are together. So in as much as my name is not there, as far as Burna Boy's name is there, Rema's name is there, Joan Eze's name is somehow in between. I have this pride, that they are really doing well. And just like she mentioned, Coachella is something that literally everybody looks up to, to meet people, to engage and have fun, massive fun for 2 weekends.
Yeah, and I think this is actually sparking a number of conversations. A lot of things, what Aisha said, what you are saying now, I don't know where to even start. There's a lot I want to say.
I mean, come from where Aisha's stopped here. I know that there used to be something close to it here in Lagos, usually on December, where throughout 1 week you are seeing
Star Trek?
all of I really don't want to mention the name because it's more like adverts here. So it's usually big names coming every day of the week basically. But it's not like Coachella in the sense that for every event you have to buy tickets for all of them individually. So it's more like this person's show, Davido's show, but it's under one particular flag at the end of the day. But really, if we could have something like Coachella, I mean, because already we have the economy when it comes to Dirty December in Lagos already. So if we could just bring something like that.
Dollars coming coming in.
It's exactly. It's going to be in. I mean, just one weekend in December. Like you already have your audience already.
Right there.
Yeah.
I think you should copyright that. One weekend in December.
Nobody should steal it when it's coming from
exactly. I'm going to go and copyright it.
I know. For me though, I think it's also an avenue for us to know how far we need to go. You are thinking of it from an organizational point, and I think that's what is important now. Because there are a lot of, when you guys were talking, a lot of issues where I was just remembering. There was a time Burna Boy went for an event and ended up insulting the fans. But anyway, let's not go into that. But he spoke about the issues, about how the sound wasn't right. And even Rema has gone on some of these international stages, like you said, one in particular, and he said, why are you guys being like this? Africa is here, you're messing up. You're messing up for Africa. You know, stuff like that. And I love the pride with you to say that. But then, in your own house.
You know what funny thing? Burna Boy sound engineer in all of his concerts outside the country is a Nigerian.
No,
I guess. Yes, he's a Nigerian.
Yeah, so and Burna himself also kind of, promised to bring some of that infrastructure here, or to at least kickstart the process.
So we have it already done, and that's
we have the infrastructure, or
we do. I think we have the talent. Do we have the infrastructure? Those two things are very different. So, like when you look at the logistical, do we have excellent sound engineers? Yes. Do we have the speakers, the electricity, the stage?
All of that.
We do. And
do we make them?
Yes. And
I'd just like to highlight, when we're talking about an event like Coachella, the unique thing about Coachella is that it happens in Joshua, California. California is a very big state, right? So let's say it's about the size of southeastern Nigeria. Maybe I don't want to be wrong geographically, but it's a very massive state. About maybe 3 or 4 Nigerian states can fit into it. And I know you've spoken about Lagos. We know Lagos has capacity. And that's the thing. In the US, there are many places that have this consistent capacity. Can we, again, take a program to the middle of Bauchi and create that structure that allows people to fly into Bauchi, and we build those stages that accommodate this world-class level of performances in Bauchi, and then dismantle it after 2 weekends and go back until the next year? That's what I'm talking about. And when I say, do we have the infrastructure, the capacity, that's what I'm talking about. Can we replicate it at every point in every section of this country? That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm also talking about even just like, for instance, whenever Nigerian artists go and sell out this popular place in the UK, O2 Arena. Do we have an O2 Arena?
No, we don't.
So that's what I'm saying. And I don't want to get into this conversation. It's a bit controversial. But the other day, I'll just talk in parables. But a certain state governor, about a couple of years ago, built a really magnificent edifice. Now, I won't say what it was built for. But a lot of people were looking at, this was an opportunity to do something where this could be the O2, where people come in and you have amazing sound engineers, all of that. So we know that it's a destination spot. And again, like you said, Lagos keeps getting everything. I understand Lagos is there, but Lagos doesn't really have competitors. So, and there's this saying, build it and they will come. So build it and let's get that world level standard. And then you see people knowing that if I want to do this thing, I have to go to Akwa Ibom, I have to go to Cross River, I have to go to Lagos, to Edo State.
You see, like, I'm actually looking at it now on the wider perspective and seeing that, okay, yes, all of these things might be in Lagos. Even looking at all of the Afrobeat guys that actually made it already. I mean, for Burna Boy, for example, he had to move from, I think, Port Harcourt down to Lagos. Skills and Ice Spinner as well had to move from Abuja down to Lagos. Everybody literally had to move from wherever they were coming from, wherever they blew from, down to Lagos.
Not Odumodu Black, though.
Odumodu actually is...
I mean, he went with his people, but like he had to. And I don't think that is necessarily a wrong thing. It happens everywhere in the world. Even in Nigeria, when you make it in Lagos, you have to move to London. When you make it in London, you have to move to LA. You have to move to New York. That's just like the center, the centers, the cultural capitals. But what you see is that even when artists move from London, London still has that capacity to accommodate them when they come back. Manchester still has that ability to accommodate them when they come back. And even beyond that, the people there have the purchasing power to support them. And I don't really want to get into the economy conversation, but what I dream of is that when Nigerian artists make it to wherever, even when they go to Lagos, they can come back to Jigawa, they can go back to Ekiti, they can go back to Imo, and again, people will show up in those numbers, and people, and above all, we would have the connectivity, the affordable flights that people can quickly fly into that state and enjoy a weekend of concerts. So yeah, that's something.
Like Coachella weekends are always very big in the sense that some people would rather even take a road trip down to California.
It's an entire experience,
and
that's why we say infrastructure, everything, the roads that accommodate it, the security, that this sleepy desert town, because it's literally in the desert, right?
But it's a thought of it for me, really. Like, okay, the city is too busy. Let us go to the desert for one weekend and let's go and party throughout that weekend.
Build it and they will come, as I say. Thank you so much.
So, but probably we should go and build it. We should actually start something. All of us here together like this.
Coachella. One weekend in December.
Yeah, in December.
Yes. One weekend in December. Okay.
So we'll choose the states, not
exactly.
Not Lagos.
Not Lagos. Not Lagos.
See what Lagosians have to say about that.
Seeing as he's a king. Seeing as he's a king, we might just have
I don't mind, really. I don't mind.
There's king there already. You want to fight your real king.
You see, this is why I said I would say these things off camera. In my town, I'll stop there. Let's go.
The only of Ife will take care.
I'm not from Ife, but in my town. Don't worry. Don't mention. Don't.
Okay, why are you trying to mention? It's fine. So we'll end the segment here so that Paul doesn't get in trouble. When we return, we'll delve into what we have next. Don't go anywhere.
Keep watching. Please keep watching Culture Cove on Hued Network.
Welcome back. This is still Culture Cove, and now we're taking a spotlight on a particular culture. And Joan will help us with that. Joan, what's popping?
Thank you so much, Amadin. So I'll be unleashing something very, very beautiful for you guys. And here I'm taking you guys straight away to Osun State, where Paul is from, but I don't think it's his village.
Thank you. No, it's not my village.
So we're going to Ejigbo.
Paul's neighbors.
In Osun State. I think your neighbors.
Probably 2 towns away.
Oh, okay. So in Ejigbo, Osun State, something really, really happened in that particular place. Back then, they had to travel, out of the states, out of Nigeria, and then went to the neighboring country like Cote d'Ivoire, Benin Republic for economic purposes, just for business and all. And what really happened when they got there was they had to learn the language, that's French, and before you know it, they became so fluent in the language. And by the time they returned back to Nigeria, Ejigbo precisely, Osun State, they started speaking the language and they started procreating. And that was how more generations to come started speaking the language. And as it stands now, Ejigbo is one of the mega cities in Abuja that speaks the French language. Sorry, in Nigeria. Sorry, Abuja people. You should not come for me, but Ejigbo is one of the mega cities in Nigeria that speaks French fluently in Osun State. So
fluent French speaking states community in Nigeria.
Exactly.
It's amazing, really. And it just makes me remember, before you guys jump in, just a moment, it makes me think of our relationship with some of the countries close to us. Now, Nigeria and Ghana have this very interesting dynamic where our rivals are always fighting. Ghana, Jollof,
Jollof rice.
We're always ready for
Ghana brothers,
Manchester United and Arsenal. Ghana being Arsenal. But anyway, so what happens is people have pointed out that geographically speaking, Ghana and Nigeria don't share a boundary. But we're always doing brother. So what we do is, the way people say, we just jump our French-speaking countries, and we say, okay, you're
my brother.
I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to see that even between us here, with some of the countries we border who speak French, we're now having one of those communities where that French exists. I just wonder how their lives is over there. Have you visited them before?
I've not visited Ejigbo before, but I've driven through Ejigbo, and I mean, it's not so much of a big town like mine. It's not so much of a big town, but it's because I remember seeing some of the monuments while traveling as well. They have a very big central mosque I can remember, and also there's also a popular statue somewhere there as well. But this is a statue actually. It's a very small town here, but it's funny to see how language can be exported basically. I mean, they are somewhere in the middle of nowhere basically, and then you're able to travel out of the country for trade and things like that. And while at that, they were able to exchange language and they brought the language back. And they still speak Yoruba as well in Ejigbo, just so you know. And I think also back then with a French parliament, actually a parliamentarian, a French parliamentarian visited Ejigbo sometimes back then as well, just to show how close they were when it comes to trade, because I think the French were there at that time. And then it was like, oh, are these people that come basically, and let's go and see your village, and then that was it. But it's interesting to see how the main thing is to see how language is being exported, how we could also adopt language, because that's not their language originally. They just adopted it and now they still speak it fluently. Also, they speak Yoruba fluently, and it's amazing to see a bilingual community in Nigeria.
Especially with the French and all of
Exactly,
that.
not even any other Nigerian language.
So Aisha, have you been? Or do you know about other?
To Ejigbo, no. But I do know of Ejigbo, and I know about a lot of the Yoruba population in Ivory Coast. Interestingly enough, some of my Ivorian friends that I met a few years ago, when they found out I was Nigerian, they started speaking Yoruba to me, of course, the basic words. And I'm like, how do you know Yoruba? And they're like, well, there are a lot of Yoruba people in Cote d'Ivoire. And my neighbor was Yoruba. And so the exchange is also happening. They know a lot about Nigerian culture, and they appreciate that. I think what Ejigbo also points out to me sometimes is how, although Nigeria is surrounded by francophone countries, we still have a huge French speaking gap in this country. A lot of us, we go through school for maybe 6 to 12 years for many people, and they learn French in those years in quote, but it's never really something. So I do think we need to take steps to refine or improve our teaching of French in our schools, and also our accommodation for the language, because sometimes we're missing out on a lot of exchange with our with our neighbors. In Adamawa State as well, where there's a border shared with Francophone Cameroon, you find a lot of French speakers, in the border cities, and same thing for some Nigerian towns. Another really interesting thing that has happened to me personally was many years ago meeting someone in Milan, Italy, and we're struggling trying to communicate because he spoke Italian, and at the time I was just speaking English. And after going around, he was able to ask where I was from, and I'm like, Nigeria. And he started speaking Hausa to me, and suddenly we could communicate. And so when you see sometimes that there are just these constant exchanges happening, like there's a huge Yoruba speaking community in Benin Republic, in Togo. So all of these exchanges are things that I think we should appreciate more, and we should lean into more. And maybe, students can go, if they can't go on excursions to other African countries because of flight costs, maybe they can take excursions to Ejigbo to improve their French, and maybe you can set up a French teacher training school in Ejigbo, seeing as we have that connection. And Paul, tu parles français?
Yeah, we parle français, yes.
Yeah, on peut?
Small.
You don't bring outside
Small, please.
I'm trying to remember what I was taught. I can't remember the beginning, but I remember Je suis Nigerian.
Yeah. I am Nigerian.
Nigerian, not Nigerian.
Nigerian.
Yeah, Nigerian.
Jumapel.
Amadin.
What? That's I am.
Jumapel Amadin.
Yeah.
So what am I forgetting now? Anyway.
What I can remember is levez-vous, stand up, asseyez-vous, sit down, applaudissez.
I know, like growing up, actually, I could speak a bit of French, but then I changed school at a point, and then there was no French in the new school. So basically, I left French in my primary school, basically, and then that was it. And I think I've tried my best to go back to French, but then it's not just coming back to me.
Oh, have you really tried your best?
I tried Duolingo. Duolingo, yeah.
I mean, I think there are a lot of accommodations. Like, if you do look around, there are quite a few, but I wish like it was more mainstream and more interconnected. Interestingly enough, I also think that in the past, we had a lot more exchange with like some of these countries in terms of fashion, in terms of that I find fading away now, which is a bit sad. But yeah, I hope we can bring that back. Back in the day, Awilo Logomba's music would be like a very big music in Nigeria. And, I appreciated that sort of exchange. And Nigerian songs would be very big over there as well. I think now we see less and less of it happening. Maybe because Nigeria is already producing so much music that other people have to struggle to compete. But I wish that we could still accommodate some of those things more and have things to, relate with our neighbors.
But one that I think we might be adopting very soon in Tanzania because of Priscilla.
Yeah.
Everyone has one way or the other been singing the language without subtitles. So probably would see more of that. And also, I think there was a time where Diamond Platinum was also a really big thing in Nigeria as well. So
what language do they speak in Tanzania?
Swahili. Yes. But they also speak English. So.
Yeah. I mean, they've taken one of our premium brides.
Exactly.
So we can forgive them that. But it just reminded me of what you just said about Awilo Lukumba. There was a popular French song.
Carolina.
I think
Carolina was by Awilo Lugumba as well. Are you thinking of Premier Gao?
Yes. How does that song go again? Okay, that song.
And it had this kind of dance.
Yes. Should we give you some But the thing is, what I remember was we were dancing to that song.
I mean, I was a very good dancer growing up.
Apparently, the song is about either a breakup or an abortion.
It's about a breakup. Sort of, not really a breakup, but it's more about a woman leaving her lover because he's not wealthy, and how returning to him when he becomes wealthy. As just saying that it's not the first fool that is the fool; it's when you're fooled again. So basically,
and we were enjoying and they were playing it for parties,
birthday parties.
But I mean that's. So sometimes, as much as we laugh about it, I think that's African culture in general. Like, there are a lot of, Timaya made the song about their mama, which is a very sad song, and we knew what their mama meant, and we still danced to it. So I said, they don't kill them mama, and people were dancing. So I think that's just Africa. Sometimes even the stories of pain, we communicate it and we turn it to joyous things and into things that we can celebrate.
And defeating the emotional.
Joan is thinking about all the parties where she danced.
I had a lot of first prizes because I always been a good dancer, like a very good dancer.
I just picture a young Paul walking past and saying parties, and then that's the collection prize. He moves to the next one.
I was always that guy that's always. Once it's time to dance, like, yeah, Paul, go now. So it's very interesting to see that there was that exchange there, and it's just I would want to see more exchanges, not just that, actually food as well, because I won't lie.
Like you said, it does happen. Just like Omale has this Afro beats where he's saying, I'm so depressed, I'm so high. Everybody's like, I'm
dancing to it.
So anyway, that's how we cope as Nigerians or Africans.
And we do a lot of that with food as well. Interestingly, there's a meal in Ivory Coast which is quite popular street food. It's called Garba, and it was started by, I think, Nigerian Hausa immigrants who settled there and were grilling suya and all of that. But I think because when you've grilled a lot of meat, you might not be interested in eating meat. They began this combo of like fish and gari and all of that, and it became a thing in Ivory Coast. And we have a lot of our meals actually between West Africa. I think there's a lot of exchange that we've gotten so used to that we don't always even know the origins of. Everywhere we just take it as, this is ours. But if you go to any West African country, you're going to find puff puff. by a different name. You're going to find Zobo, whether as Bissap, whether as, there's already that exchange.
So we're going to.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about the
Our
origin.
going actually not really is from those around us, Benin Republic.
All right. Well, anyway, I think we've run out of time now. Thank you so much, Aisha. It's been a great one, and that's our round of the program. But we have one more thing before we go. Let's take a look at our wise saying for the day. Okay. Aisha, please take that for us.
Because Lizard, they nod him head, no means say, he agree, say everything, they okay.
Deep. What do you think about that?
Word. I mean, the lizard is always nodding. It's going to, nod regardless. So that's just, sometimes you just have to see things and keep it pushing. And it doesn't mean like you have to react to everything or like,
Fair enough.
Well, you see this particular saying, when you ask someone, how are you doing? And the person just tells you, I'm fine.
Yeah.
That I'm fine actually is not really I'm fine anymore. So most people just try to cover up with that I'm fine, maybe because they don't want to tell you exactly how they are feeling. Maybe they just want to just bottle it up, let everything just go away, and they don't want to burden you. So the fact that the lizard is always nodding doesn't mean everything is okay. Maybe something might be piercing him or he's hungry, but he'll just be nodding and say, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll take it to relationships now. There's this common thing saying that, everything is fine. Probably after an argument or you did something and you're like, I'm sure.
And you're like referring to our gender now.
You see, now I didn't mention gender.
Well, technically, it can only be it can't only be, but
exactly.
It's more likely in relationships with your gender.
But I didn't mention gender. You did, but
it's fine.
Your words not mine.
It's fine.
Exactly. It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry. And all of that, it just reminds also of that really. Like it reminds me particularly of that because, I mean,
it's fine.
Paul is really tapping into some emotion. What happened this morning?
Nothing happened this morning. This morning I was actually thinking so much.
What has Olori done?
I was actually thinking so much of how to recreate Coachella here in Nigeria. Actually, that's what I was thinking of.
I don't think so.
Anyway,
it's not that at all.
For me, it's about. When I saw this, I remember certain people. There's some people who are always smiling, and they make me feel uncomfortable. Why are you smiling all the time?
Allegedly,
something is up. They're always smiling. So sometimes
now you remember what I said earlier. You remember what I said earlier. Now
you're always happy.
I get it. So, but my point is, so sometimes I just wonder, what are you thinking? Can you be a bit more open? If I say, how are you doing today? It's a nice day. You look like a potato. Let me see. You're a human being. So this thing, something happened in your head, but you just don't want to express it. So sometimes, and I can also relate to being on the flip side. I grew up. I have a large number of siblings. So in large groups of children and of similar age, there's going to be some level of bullying or teasing and all that. So I used to get teased. So one day, my eldest son told me, look at the people tease, because I was very academically, I was one of the best in my whole family. Like, look at the people teasing you. Do you think they can tease you? And then from that day henceforth, anytime somebody will say, this one, I'm just looking like, that insult wasn't even smart. And then I laugh, and I'm laughing with them. And initially it looks like, I'm laughing because I'm trying to cover, but I'm actually laughing at you.
Yeah.
And it's considered that way, and we all understood each other. But then my point was, at that point, I'm laughing with you, but I'm actually just laughing at you, or you don't know. So I think that's the thing with the lizard. Like, it's not in his head, but You have to use your
It's
sense.
not fine. Exactly.
Anyway, so thank you so much, guys, for this episode. It's been a pleasant one and an interesting one. Hope to do this sometime again.
Definitely.
All right. So that's our roundup program for today. Do join us next Saturday, 9 a.m. We come to you every morning. Every Saturday morning. Culture Cove comes to you. See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.